This episode is brought to you by Dime Media. Love supporting local, but looking to save? I've got the solution. Introducing the 2025 CNY Women's Network Members Card. This is your passport to exclusive year-round savings at over 35 amazing women-owned businesses across Central New York. Whether you're grabbing coffee, booking a spa day, or shopping a local boutique, using your members card means more than just discounts. You're empowering women, strengthening small businesses, and building a thriving community one purchase at a time. Want to see all the offers and partner spots? Head to cnywomensnetwork.com/members-card or click the link in our bio. And here's the best part. Join the collective by CNY Women's Network and you'll get your members card free with your annual membership. More details at cnywomensnetwork.com/membership. Let's grow together, one card, one connection, one business at a time. Hello and welcome back to Cultivate CNY. I am your host, Alex Canavan, and in today's episode, I couldn't be more excited to welcome Tim Dougherty to the show. Today, under the leadership of Tim, Project Lean Nation is transforming lives through nutrition, community, and purpose-driven entrepreneurship. PLN is also the fastest growing meal prep service in the country. In this episode, we explore Tim's journey and how the gym has been a constant throughout his life, how PLN is scaling impact through franchising, and why it's more than just a business. It's a lifestyle that is changing lives. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Tim Dougherty, welcome to Cultivate CNY.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm excited. This is going to be a conversation full of business, leadership, entrepreneurship. Is this your first company or have you done something else?
No, I had a previous company. I was involved in finance in my 20s, and it didn't go well. We can get into that if you like. But this is my second kind of full investment in something. And it didn't really start out as that. It was more like a hobby, and it just evolved.
Those are always the best businesses.
Yeah, for sure.
You're really in your element. So I'm assuming that you're super passionate about fitness, health, wellness, all the things.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think for me, I grew up in like a challenging situation. And I think that fitness was like the first thing that kind of saved me. It was like the gym was the first place where pain had purpose, and I could get like an ounce of dignity from doing something, and it made me feel good. And I think that became a huge anchor in my life.
Yeah,
How about you?
absolutely. I've shared a little bit about my journey. I haven't really talked about the dark parts, but I think that usually a lot of people that end up creating and kind of paving their own path usually come from some sort of humble beginnings or have at least had to endure something out of the ordinary, if you will. And I think that there's so much purpose in that. Full believer that everything happens for a reason. And so I definitely spent, I think, the first few years in my 20s really not open to accepting some of those things, right? As these things happened for me and not to me. So I've come a long way, I think, with my upbringing and all that stuff. But I think maybe even with your experience in the gym, kind of giving you this pain has purpose, but also probably gave you a sense of control.
Yeah, for sure. I think I can speak to that. So right away, it started to like cultivate a discipline in me. And that's not the way I saw myself. And so that was helpful, and then that started to like spill over into every area of my life. The other thing that the gym gave me is I connected with good guys, and that's probably what I needed most in life. And they took me under their wing, they mentored me. And I think the process of fitness and my relationship with fitness hasn't always been healthy. It's been have a lot of seasons. But just in the idea of investing time in myself so I could be better for myself and others has always been an anchor.
Absolutely. And I am so here for that too, actually, with when you say the kinds of people you were working out with were great people. We can get into how you grew up too, because I think there's so much If you're willing to open up about that, so much value in that to see where people come from and how they kind of conquered that period of their life. But I've we host with the CNY Women's Network, we started out with just professional networking events, just a summit and like happy hours, because that's what you did for networking events. But since then, we've actually ditched our happy hours and now we'll do a coffee meetup on a Saturday morning. But some of our other events that are really great, actually, that Project Lean Nation in Syracuse is sponsoring is our women's walking club.
Oh, it's cool.
And we also do some fitness pop-ups we call fit and socials.
Oh yeah.
But it's really because I really wanted to do those things because there are so many other places to network and meet people. And typically, if you just want to be aligned with growth-minded people with good character, with discipline, hold themselves accountable, don't make excuses for themselves, go and network with athletes.
Yeah.
Go and network with
They're not at the
people.
bar.
Yeah, no, exactly. And when I'm selling these sponsorships, I'm like, here's the thing.
Yeah.
It brings in a really good crowd because if you
Yeah.
think about it,
Yeah.
our walking club meets for coffee at 7:30 a.m. on a Sunday. We start the walk at 8:15. These aren't women that are staying out at the club until
Yeah.
2 a.m. They're drinking their water, tucked in bed, and prioritizing themselves. So I love that. Did you grow up in sports at all?
My childhood was a little crazy. Mostly raised by my grandparents. My father was in prison. My mother was wrestling, alcoholism and addiction, and I was kind of left to kind of raise myself. And I don't say any of that because I'm a victim to it. Like these were all the ingredients that set me up, you know? So when I was younger, I did participate in some sports. By the time I got to school, for me, like I had the alphabet soup of diagnoses, right? So school was tough for me. So it wasn't really a place where I was thriving when it came to athletics. I was always interested, but the likelihood that I could participate was low. That's why when I found the gym, it was like the thing for me. It woke that up in me. I always felt best when I was moving. That's why I couldn't sit still in school. The gym, the community of the gym, and then that framework, which then applied to everything. I knew that if I followed a system and I did the work, I would get results. And I think that that gave me a lot of confidence in anything else I pursued after that.
Yeah, I think you were probably growing up from what I would assume, you were unfortunately, a victim of your circumstances. You were kind of not in control of the environment around you, right? So I think maybe the gym gave you this proof that you could control the outcome of your life so long as you put in the work and you had a plan, right? And now I'm sure that feeds into the brand that you've built here today.
Yeah, I can speak to something that is kind of piggybacks off that. So, and there's a lot to this story. We'll get into the details. But when I was about 25 years old, I started making these meals for myself, right? And at the time, it was because I wanted to look better, feel better, perform better. That's what I believed. But now, my 46-year-old self looking back, like at a season of my life where I probably didn't have a lot of control, that was probably the main driver. It was something small in my life that I could control, which gave me a lot of comfort at the time.
I grew up dancing competitively, and that probably makes me sound pretty privileged, but I'll be honest, there were months where we went without hot water or power because my mom paid my dance tuition and not the power bill. She was really just she is such an amazing mother that's always been 100% behind whatever I wanted to do. And I wasn't like the little girl that just wanted to dance. I wanted to be a dancer and be a star and create something. Like I always had a plan, like a
Yeah,
goal, right?
clearly.
But, that obviously didn't pan out. But
It looks like it's working out.
so I think, you know, I will say actually in the last year of my life though, I am in the best shape I've ever been in, and I've had my own fitness journey. And I think especially as an entrepreneur building a brand, there's so many things you don't have control over. And you need to be flexible and you need to release that control and be okay with that. But I think because I've been able to lean more into my fitness life and have been able to see that, there are some things I can control, and I like controlling this part of my life. It makes me feel really good and grounded. I think the more I've grown in my fitness and in my training, the better leader and entrepreneur I become. 100%.
I think part of that for me has to do with like, I make all these commitments to myself, right? So I don't want to break any promises to myself because it like impacts my personal integrity. And when I don't trust myself, then things get messy, right? So fitness is gives me the perfect framework to like check that box every single day. It's the first thing I do. It makes me feel great. It's like when I was young, I wanted to be jacked. And when I was in my 30s, I want to be a CrossFit competitor. And now I just like, for me, it's like therapy. And most times my body is a reflection of my mind. Like, so if my mind is dialed, my body follows. If I get a little messy, then I get a little messy.
I think there's something to say about people who have the discipline to not only build something amazing for other people, but also have the discipline to take care of themselves. And I think there's so many factors that come into play with that, depending on your resources and your circumstances. But I don't know about you, but when I meet someone that has clean energy, like I know they worked out this morning simply because of the energy they're bringing into the room, but also like you can clearly tell they're fit and they work out and they have for years. I would be lying if I didn't say that like I immediately respect this person.
Yeah, it says something about you.
I mean, you still have to be a good person. And
Yeah.
that'll come out later on, right?
Yeah.
But at first,
Yeah.
it's like I think that's kind of a hack, if you will. It's
For
like if
sure.
you want to go into spaces you've never gone before and really hold your own, the best thing you can do is present well.
Yeah.
And I think maybe growing up in performing arts, like I've always understood that because I've always fallen into more of an entrepreneurial role, I think, because I wasn't totally qualified to like walk in the door at my dream company and get the job I wanted. So I always kind of had to create it myself. But I've always known if I can just present well and if I just have good energy and if I'm just a good person and work my tail off, I won't have any problems.
And if you believe that, that's true.
And it's not always about how you look, right? But
Yeah, for sure.
truly, like people who prioritize their health, it takes discipline and character and integrity to do that, I think. And those are all key
Well, you can see it. Like
components.
I have a 20-year-old son. I tell him the same thing. He's like heavy into the gym. And I told him that my whole life being fit has given me a little bit of an edge everywhere I go. Because I know that if somebody looks at me, they're going to at least believe that I'm disciplined and committed to something. It's obvious. You can't buy it. So it's helpful.
Exactly. You can't buy it. I love that.
You have to earn it.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit about your life after graduating high school, life in your 20s. You started a
Yeah.
financial company that didn't go
Well, yeah.
well.
Well, ultimately, what happened is,
Did you go to
um,
school?
yeah, I went to school, a couple failed attempts.
Same.
Yeah. So when I was in my early 20s, I hooked up with these guys, and they were like sophisticated guys. I was drawn to them. They told me they were raising money for public companies. So, like, everything about just that statement was attractive to me because I came from very limited means, and they looked sharp. And so I jumped in with both feet. And it was funny. Like, I thought I was pursuing it because I wanted to earn. But the truth is that they were like pumping my tires. They were like making me feel good. They're like, you got everything it takes. And it was like, I needed to believe them, and I did everything they said. And I started to do really well. And we all went to the gym every day. We all did the things, and it was like we were building a lot of momentum. And by the time I was in my later 20s, I had a big house. I had a wife. I had two beautiful children. I had a boat at the dock and a Porsche in the driveway. But that winter, the FBI showed up at my office. So I always knew I was in a business where there was potential potholes. I knew I was we joke about it. I knew I was in an office that had high ceilings and low values. I just never really knew what the consequences of it was. So ultimately, the FBI sits me down, tells me the good news. You're not the target of the investigation. You're a subject. And all you have to do is cooperate. And then we can just give you probation. And it'll be no jumpsuit, no prison, keep your life. And the only challenge in that is that the people that they wanted me to participate against were the only people that ever believed in me. And I wasn't in a position to trade their belief for my freedom. And with that decision, I was sent to federal prison.
Wow. Yeah. Are you proud of that decision to go ahead and
I don't
honor these
know.
people?
I don't know if I am or if I'm not. But what happened as a result of this? Well, first, here's the hard part. I spent 1,000 evenings away from my children, you know,
That's
tangled up
tough.
all kinds of relationships in my life. And everybody who had counted on me, I kind of watched get swallowed up by the thing. It was tough. But in time, I came home. I was convinced that like I would just step out and everything would be fantastic. But
That's what we hope, right?
yeah, that's what we hope, right? So I was like on the other side of it. And what I didn't recognize is that this like mountain of shame that comes with you, it like walks out right next to you. And that was the part that I wasn't prepared for. Yeah, and I always felt like I could present well. I felt like I could connect with people, but at that point in my life, it was hard for me to like make eye contact with someone. And like living in a federal halfway house, no prospects of, I was only in my life been good at one thing, and now I had a ban from it for 36 months.
I can only imagine that growing up the way you did you feel like, in a way, like the little boy that was the shame probably brought this inner child in you? Did you have
Yeah, it
to
was intense.
face
Well, a lot of what I did is I went through this as a child, so I know the pain. And then I had beautiful children, and I made them all the promises that I would always be there, and then I broke them. So I put my children through the same thing that I went through. So I was like navigating the heaviness of all this, and it was a lot. Um, Went back to the only thing I knew, the only place I ever found any strength, inner strength. I went back to the gym, got heavily invested in that. I had really nothing else to do but be terrified to figure out how I was going to pay my bills. And in time, a couple friends asked me if I would work out with them. And this wasn't like my thing. Like that's not what fitness had always been my hobby, but it was the only place I was finding any passion in my life at that point. And I was still carrying around this like backpack of shame everywhere. When I brought it into every room, every conversation, it was paralyzing.
how did that show up? Was it imposter syndrome? Was it, I mean, like
No,
when
I mean, it
you
was like I'm sitting in a room and everybody's smiling and I'm trying to as well. And
you're just panicking inside?
yeah,
Yeah.
it was like walking around with a black eye, you know what I mean? And it was looking back, 80% of that was manufactured in my mind, right? It was just like the process of reentry, right? And most people, there's a 70% recidivism rate in the federal system. So like most people don't get through that. And faith has always been part of my life.
Mhm. I
Um,
I I was gonna say, how did you survive? And
yeah, I mean, I think it was just
was it
like,
faith?
and to say that like faith has always been present in my life, but to differing degrees and practices. And at that point, like I just wasn't rooted enough for it to give me the hope and encouragement that I hoped it would. But it did make me feel like there was a plan. Not too long after that, I kept pursuing this like fitness thing. So I'm like training all these people. I got hooked up with this concierge medical practice guy. He's like the doctor that goes to everybody's house with a little bag, he like takes care of the rich guys. So he decides to introduce me to all these guys. And I open up this little training facility, and it's like the stud real estate guy, this, like all the people. They had everything. I had zero. I like nothing but my fitness. And I had been through this journey and this experience that was related about my pursuit of resources, where I was kind of like against things. Like I need nothing now, right? Because I knew the things that I was pursuing were never going to be enough for me. And
Were you also afraid of losing them again?
potentially, maybe I was, there's probably a part of me that didn't believe that I could do that again. So that was probably, it would have been risk for me to be attracted to
Yeah,
that type of
like it
stuff,
was
right?
risky.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
would be risky behavior for me in my mind. And I'm going through like
You
a,
also probably just with the way you grew up and then kind of this way that you found this family, if you will, and came into these money resources, things that you never probably imagined having. Almost probably felt like it was never yours. And then it was just
well, it felt, I did have this feeling like the shoe was always going to fall, like something was going to happen. It was like, and it did. um, Ultimately, what happened is these guys would be at the gym, and one day these guys asked me, "Hey Tim, what are you eating?" So I'd make these little meals, right? It was like chicken and yams. That's it. Like it was just I would just eat it like a machine for every meal I ate. And one day, one of the guys asked me to make the food for him, and I told him no because I felt like I was above it and below it all at the same time. Like I didn't want to be somebody's cook, and like all these feelings, right? But the next time they asked, I decided to do it. So I grilled up a bunch of chicken and yams, and I brought them to my friend. And the next weekend, I brought them to my other friend. And within a handful of weeks, I was making like 1,000 meals in my kitchen, breaking every law there is.
here he goes again.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I'm like, hi, I'm like,
You got to
I'm
start
risk
somewhere.
adverse. Yeah. So, I'm on parole, like there's like a lot going on.
Yeah, yeah.
And, but what was going on is like, I was learning something. It was like, I was showing up for people in a place where maybe they didn't feel strong. And that was like chipping away at those feelings. So I just kept doing it. I kept showing up. And it was like little by little, I was going through this other stuff too. So it's like, I had just spent several years in prison, and I'm training people from 5 in the morning till 7 at night. And on the weekend, the only time I could invest into my children, I'm like grilling chicken all day long on Saturday and then driving it around in this car and delivering it to people on the weekends. And I remember grilling the chicken, like just praying to God for a better opportunity, because I was still going through this like, I didn't want to be somebody's cook. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it just wasn't filling me. And so I continued to do it. And I remember like it was yesterday, I was dropping off this food to these folks, and I would bang on the door and I'd be smiling. Tim with the meals. They'd be like, I didn't know I ordered them. I just bring them anyway. And they would like confess their sins to me. I went to my niece's birthday, I ate the cake, and we'd like talk through it. And I remember one day I went to my car and I slammed the trunk, and it kind of came over me that I wasn't like delivering food. I was delivering hope door to door. And it was like giving me that opportunity to like pour into people. And through that, that's what released me from those feelings. And I say that to say this because when it was behind me, I had recognized that I cultivated a lot of strength from carrying that around, and I cultivated a lot of purpose through walking through it. And then that's what kind of lit the thing on fire for me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was the purpose, without
Yeah.
a doubt. So, when did you know that this was going to be a brand?
Okay.
Was it,
I
was
got a
it,
good story.
okay, let's hear it.
So every week I'd make this food. Pretty soon I was like taking over restaurants. So I found some people to make the food. I found an amazing young lady that would like make the calls and call the people. And at this point I was mostly responsible for like the support of the people. Like I wanted to be near the people. So at this point I don't have many resources, but and let me preface this by saying the name of my business was called Project Lean Body. And the reason it was called Project Lean Body is because I didn't like the idea of the idea of a diet. I thought the sexy word was lean, and I thought that this would be a lifestyle strategy I could help people adopt. So some guy I know owns a company that makes these beautiful boxes. To this point, every Sunday I will go to church with my family, leave there, and fill my car with boxes from Home Depot, and then box up all the food and bring it to the people. So my buddy said, what if you had these beautiful boxes that had your logo and all your information and how to get a hold of you? And this is like when the QR code came out. It was like a big deal.
Yeah.
QR codes made a comeback, right?
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
COVID. But I go out and I make these 7,500 boxes. It was like my biggest first investment in what I was doing. So how I kind of got the word out about what I was doing is I would go to like your local gym, supplement store, spa, and I would like just talk to people and set up the little table and like I would connect with people. I would tell them nothing about what I do. I would just say, "Hey, tell me a little bit about what your nutritional strategy looks like." And then they would tell me all the reasons why they
They
need
needed you.
me
Good.
and we would connect.
He's a salesman
Yeah.
after all.
Yeah. So
You knew what you were doing.
I went to Vitamin Shop. Do they have those in here, Syracuse? Yeah. So I went to Vitamin Shop, stacked up all these beautiful boxes, put my cards and display on there. I was like buds with a kid, and I left. And 1 week later, I got a call from a company in Las Vegas. It's called, the guy that owns it is named Lee Labrada. He's like a big time bodybuilder. He's suing me for a cease and assist because he has a protein shake that has a trademark on something called Lean Body for Her. They sell it places. You've probably seen it before. So I was heartbroken. He said I couldn't use the boxes. I had to negotiate a payment, a settlement with him, and I had to change the name of my business. So I was like at my, kicking my desk, mad, feeling like, like I'm the victim of something, right? And then it dawned on me. It's like I'm making chicken in my garage and vegetables for my friends. And some guy who has a big supplement company in Las Vegas is worried about me. And that's when I decided that I would change the name to Project Lean Nation. And it gave me this little bit of hope that I was like onto something bigger. And then I have 100 more stories when I like maybe got a little nervous or didn't have that belief. And then right at the perfect time, somebody came along and inspired that in me.
Oh yeah, I feel like that is like the tale as old as time for entrepreneurs, right? Like I have a bunch of stories too, and I think that that's as soon as you feel the fear, that's actually an indication of you're on to something. Something is coming very soon here. And if you're not feeling the fear, if there's no pressure whatsoever, if there's not people banging down their door because they're worried
Yeah.
about what you're doing, then that's when you know you're not going big enough,
Yeah.
right?
Fair enough.
So you started the brand Project Lean Nation. How did you just basically grow so much that you realized this should be a franchise? Or did you always have, once you saw the vision that this could be a national brand, how am I going to get there?
I got two quick stories. Ready? First story is I never saw myself really having a store. Like at the time, being in retail was like so not the thing. Everything's going online. Brick and mortar was like not the thing. One of the guys at the gym says, "Hey, Tim, come check out this space." And I had one of those moments. Joel started telling me he believes this should be the space. And I'm like, Joel believes I have a business? So it was kind of like another one of these things. So I decided that I was going to like open this store because I knew what I needed was like a platform, because where I was connecting with people was like at their front door. Like it didn't have much to do with the product. It had everything to do with connecting. And I didn't have staff. I didn't have things figured out, but the people in my life were people smart, like emotional IQ. And they were just good at connecting with people. And that's what we were doing. We were like pouring into people. And we grew really fast, which, breaks everything. Like we didn't have the manufacturing in place to support that. We didn't have the technology. We
You
didn't
probably
answer the
went through all
telephone,
of the
like, yeah,
problems.
all the problems, every one of them. But what filled the gaps in those relationships where we fell short was our passion to serve them. Like they knew our intent.
Yeah.
So if we mixed up their box or we did something, they like always let us slide. Um,
That's
excuse me.
amazing.
Not too long after that, one of these guys that was one of my clients was buying lots of food, and I really couldn't put my finger on what was going on, but he had a gym on like the other side of town. He was selling the food in the gym.
Oh, so he was flipping
Yeah, so he
it.
was like doing a little thing, right? So I like chased him down. I was like, dude, we can't do that. So I got to know the guy a little bit, and I'm working through business, and everything is wrong with my business in my mind. So I decided to fly out to like this personal development conference in California. So I go to this conference, and basically what I'm learning is like I'm the problem. But I look across the room, and who do I see? The kid that owned the gym that was selling the food.
Oh,
Interesting.
interesting.
So I said,
Across the country.
Yeah, what are you doing here? So we start cultivating a relationship. And ultimately, he was the first guy that said, "Hey, I'm moving to Charleston. I want to open a store." He calls me back, fell in love, moving to Charlotte, want to open a store in Charlotte. And ultimately, I went down and opened the first store. And we didn't have like franchising is very complex. We didn't have like everything in line. We
Mhm.
essentially had a license agreement and a hope and a prayer,
Yeah.
right?
You
But it
had
was
that
like,
one person that believed in it,
yeah,
that was already selling the meals without your consent. You're like, "All right, this will work for the first one."
yeah. And he's like a network marketing guy,
Yeah.
like very good at connecting with people. Same thing. We put the freezers in his garage. We opened up his store. He crushed it. We didn't have the proper training, supply chain logistics, technology, manufacturing. So like I began to build these things with the help of many talented people. And nobody in their right mind would ever build those things for one store. So now we started to explore other things. So from 2017 till about 2019, I had about 4 stores, like we're figuring things out. Everybody's like heart is so in it. And which provides a lot of grace, when we're like working through things,
Absolutely.
and they know it too. And not only are we working through business, like I'm working through things both personally and professionally. I'm like navigating a lot of stuff. But maybe to a fault, my work became my like outlet. So I went all in on it. Um, COVID kicks off, and one of the guys from the gym walks in, who's my buddy, who's like another real estate superstar, and he comes in and he says, "How are you feeling?" The fire marshal just came in, sat me down, and told me we got to close the store. And at this point, I just built a manufacturing facility. I have a couple stores. I got staff everywhere. And because of the infrastructure I built, it's not like I'm making money, like I'm building a company in my mind. We don't starve because we always have food. So Mark says to me, "Hey, I think now is the time that you have to go all in." And I was like, this is a little counterintuitive. And he did say something to me that, and he might have been giving me a line of BS, but he said, "Hey, if you go all on this, all in, and it blows up in your face, I'll help you with your next thing." And it was like just enough to give me some confidence to just push in all my chips. And at the time, there's other things involved. In New York State, you can't even apply to be a franchisor until you're 10 years post conviction. They have a thing against
Oh,
felons,
okay.
right? So there's hurdles.
Yeah.
So in addition to that, the legal is like $250,000 to put your toe in the water, right? So there's like all these things. So I had to just take this big leap of faith, and I felt at peace about it and terrified.
Yeah.
But I pushed all my chips in.
This episode of Cultivate CNY is brought to you by, well, no one yet. But that's about to change. After 2 years of incredible conversations with Central New York's most inspiring leaders, we are officially opening the door to sponsors. That's right. If you'd like to support the show and get your brand in front of a loyal and growing audience, email us at podcast@cnywomensnetwork.com to learn more about sponsorship opportunities. All right, back to the show.
I was told it was going to take like 3 months worth of legal, 3 months worth of building the process. And ultimately, it took 2 years. But inside of those 2 years, I had all these people that were like interested. So I had to like navigate that to try to keep them interested, navigate it to make sure I was like close to in line with what the laws are. And, like this is
Yeah.
like highly,
There's so many things to think about and keep
yeah,
track of,
yeah, it's a
wrap your
mess.
head around.
But ultimately, I got hooked up with the best possible people. I built a team to support the company. And then since then, we've opened up like another 30 units, and we have like another 30 units opening. So we're drinking it from a fire hose. I love it. It keeps me busy every day. It seems like something is at work here where like the most talented people and the perfect resource always just shows up.
I was going to say, it sounds like you're really good at the people part. And I think a lot of founders struggle with that, especially if they're the type of people that have always kind of just done it on their own. It's hard to kind of look for the right people, know when it's time to find that next right person, or even ask for help in general. That's something I've kind of struggled with, is knowing when it's time to ask for help.
Yeah, I can speak to that. I think that I've become better. I think that initially I was terrible at it, right? Like, so my desire was to be great at that, but I lacked the like maturity and ability to communicate my feelings and my ability to slow down a little bit. And those things were roadblocks for me. So I had to learn like a lot of very difficult leadership lessons. But I am a student. I love to learn, so I began pursuing those things because I knew that, or there came a day when I realized the only thing in my way was me, and my business never grew one time until I did. So like if I invest in myself and get here, then my business is going to come to here. So I knew that that was the path. And that's true today. And I still fall short a lot, but my intent is to develop myself as a leader that's worthy of the opportunity that God has provided me.
Yeah. I mean, it truly is like to be in this role, to be building something not only that you're passionate about, but that is also creating opportunities for other people. That's something really powerful. And it's really must feel like really purposeful work to be doing every single day. What are some of the biggest challenges? I know that there's been a lot, but what would you say the one that sticks out in your mind has been the biggest challenge scaling a franchise brand?
Yeah, I mean, we
I
could
mean, you
talk
said
about
you
for
have
hours.
30 more locations in the pipeline?
Yeah, so like like we just hit this level where now we're starting to like sell monthly what we used to sell annually, right? So things are picking up. But just to step back to what you said, one of the harder things I believe is that it is encouraging to be able to provide an opportunity for somebody else. It also comes with a lot of responsibility, right? So it's like my feet hit the floor relentlessly every morning at 5 a.m. because I want to make sure that they have the tools they need to win. And when you're an early franchisor, you don't have all the tools. So they're like filling in the gaps with talent, passion, and grace, while you're figuring it out. And it's been a race. It's like trying to build an airplane while it's going down the runway, right? So you're always kind of a little bit behind, trying to kind of build the thing out, make sure that they're supported, right? Because my business was predicated on me serving people in the area of health, because ultimately I had to become first good at leading self. So when I became good at leading self, I could lead someone else. And then it was this, well, could I lead others to lead others? And that was a gap. Now it's like, can I lead an organization? And can I lead others that lead organizations? And then that's been a learning curve. So I think it's just the bigger challenges are the people. And sometimes it's skill versus will, right? So sometimes somebody has the skill to excel, but not the will to. And I also made the mistake of everybody who is in my business and everybody who is coming into my business, it's always the same. Like their heart is full of serving others, their motivation is high. And for some people, it wavers. And me as a young leader, I didn't know how to navigate that, right? So this is what I'm learning now. Like, how do we make sure everybody wins? And then how do I accept not everybody will win?
Yeah, because that's the hard pill to swallow is that not everybody will win. And there's not you can do everything in your wheelhouse, but that's when someone else's will takes over, right? So how do you go about sourcing talent? I mean, just finding the right people. What does that process look like? How long are you vetting people?
Well, this is like two different ways. So like in my world, on my team, um, I didn't coin this, but somebody said it, lean team, deep bench. Right. So like I'm always planting the seed in somebody. Like when I see somebody and I don't always know how it is going to fit, but if I meet someone and I recognize something about them that I see as talent, and I have a disease, I like always see the best in everybody. But when I see those things, I start planting the seed. Like, hey, what are you doing? And I've done that with everybody on my team, and everybody on my team has worked like fractionally, like they came from something else. I like tried to like shoestring a budget so I could keep the tech guy or keep the support guy just long enough so then the business could grow to support them. I have a really amazing culture of people that are all cooler than me. And now it's about protecting that. and perpetuating that. That's like the core of what we do. To answer your question on the franchise partner side, right? That's been a journey too, because it's very diversified, and my want for it has changed, right? So it's like when I first started doing this, like the first guy was highly ambitious. He was all in. He wanted this thing to be his only thing. He loved fitness. He loved serving people. He loved all these things. And in my mind, I just thought I could go find 100 people like that. And that's a harder guy to find than you think. Right. So then it was like, then I'd find these other people that are on the other end of the spectrum. They want to be like the investor, and they want to like open multiple units, and they want to, and at the early, I didn't have the systems and capacity to support somebody like that. But today I see that we're going to be like highly diversified. We're going to be those like passion project all in people. We're going to have people that have multiple businesses, but this is their core thing. And then we're going to have a person that wants to like buy a state and
Mm,
run it like
yeah.
a big organization. So it's about, there's things that are important to me. And when we bring somebody in to go through this, vetting process, to go through like 5 weeks of phone calls, right? So it's like they're learning about the brand. We're doing validation, which means like they're asking my partners questions, which is cool. That's not something we did before. And it's like, hey, what's the ugly part of the business? What's the hard part? Because once they get through all of that, if they've been through all of that, then we hold something called a confirmation day. And like, we're going to spend an afternoon together to make a decision to be like locked arms for a decade. So it's like, for me, it's all about connection.
Yeah.
So like I go in the room and I just like throw my heart on the table and then see what they do. And I think if you're open and if you find the courage to be vulnerable, other people will come right behind you. So I think that that's the number one thing. They need to be able to open up. Beyond that, there's like all the basic business stuff. They need to have some business acumen. They need to have the resources. But I think the number one thing that's going to carry somebody is like they have to see value in serving people. Like it's the core thing. Like if that doesn't like light you on fire, you're not going to enjoy what I do. Not to the degree you could.
So you have your main team, the team that's supporting you, like at headquarters. And you've done a really great job at picking these people. You love your team. So how are you keeping your team happy, invested, motivated? Like, what are the things you're doing on a weekly, quarterly, annually basis to keep everyone connected and, you know, totally invested in what you guys are building?
Yeah. Well, I think that I don't know if I'm doing it all on purpose. And I think some of it is great and some of it probably needs some work. Um, but in our team, we have a lot of the standard things that are in place, right? Because I think that the two things that hurt teams the most are going to be communication and accountability. So we have like solid systems built in for that, right? So every Monday, no matter what's going on, we have this meeting. It's a very structured meeting from a philosophy that I didn't create, but I'm married to.
What is the philosophy?
It's
Tell me.
called, the book is called Traction. Look it
Because
up.
I'm like, I literally just listened to 2 podcasts yesterday about how to run meetings. Because I feel like I suck at running meetings and I need
You,
to get better.
we ultimately,
I
I
need
read
a
this.
formula though.
I got you. I read this book. It's called Traction by Gino Wickman. He
I
has
think
this
I've heard of
whole
that.
system, and it all starts with this meeting. And in this meeting is good news recognition, review to dos. So what did we talk about last week, right? Updates, ideas, discussions, and solutions. What are the new to dos? Rate the meeting. So I've been doing that for a decade. Just boom, boom, boom.
Okay.
And
That's a good
I've
formula.
done it so much that it leaks into how I have a conversation. So when I have a conversation, hey, what's new and exciting? Hey, about that thing, it's like it like works. And then I think that in terms of my team, I'm like heavy. The pace of work is high, and it feels heavy, like a lot at sometimes. But we're also passionate about what we're doing. And when people are passionate about something and they see evidence of it growing, it like amplifies the passion. So I think that there's places in my life where I have gaps in my leadership that are filled in by that passion, at least for now. So everybody's excited, right? And then I think that quarterly we do a meeting. We scope out what our quarterly initiatives will be. Every single quarter, we have one coming up. We're all falling a little short. So we have this big meeting that we're not going to bite off more than we can chew this quarter. And then like 2 hours later, we bite off more than we can chew. And we're always running and we're always pacing. And I think that I'm present in my team, and I try to be the pace car in my team, and I like to work.
Yeah.
And I think that those things help us. And um, there was another switch. So we used to have a lot of this language around like, we're a family, and like, you're in a family, right? Like, you guys have secrets and sweep things under the carpet, and right. I don't want to be a family. I want to be a team, right? I want to have a playbook, standards, tryouts, cuts, but I want us to love each other like a family. And I think that's critical.
Yeah, because the thing is like we're in business to win,
Yeah.
right? So we need to be a team that's playing to win. But of course, I mean, teams still have this irreplaceable love and support that you find usually in family, right? So I like that you kind of rebranded the the family into a team because it's true. And we'd all be lying to ourselves if we pretended like we're not in this to win, aka make a profit. That's the point of business.
Yeah. And I also I think I spent most of my life like really missing out on today, pursuing what I'm trying to do tomorrow. So in this season of my life, when I arguably probably have the most opportunity, I'm really trying to be present in the day and like and enjoy the experience. So when we go do these presentations, like we do this big presentation once a month, I'm like, hey guys, let's just enjoy this together. Like, we prayed for this, we earned just the chance to just be here. Like, what comes of this is, as long as we show up, that's in somebody else's hands. And I think those things are helpful. Also, I have a one-on-one meeting with my people, and I do my best to support them each in a unique way. And it's funny, it's like, in doing that, they're supporting me because they're giving me the confidence to believe that I can do this through that. Lastly, is in 2018, I made a decision to put faith in the center of my business. And so if we have a meeting, if we eat, often most of us are at the same church on a Sunday, and not because we're righteous or have judgment about anybody else that's not aligned with that. But I think that when you place a high level of faith and belief in the core of something, it like amplifies things. And wherever that is, that's where like my highest level of integrity is. And we're all there's a wide range of differing levels of practice, belief, and all that. But everybody's open to it, and everybody has seen the evidence of what has come of it. So I think that that glues us together.
Oh, absolutely. I'm wholeheartedly a faith-based person, always have been. Um, I think I would like to find ways to kind of bring it more to the forefront of everything that we do, simply because building a business is hard, especially, I relate to you. It's everything is heavy. It feels heavy. It's fast paced. I've lost people because it was too much, for and it's not it's you that's I think on me, right? A communication issue. But if you
Opportunity.
aren't if you don't understand that what you're doing is you only have the opportunity to do what you're doing simply because of God Almighty,
Yeah.
whoever has given you this opportunity, the universe, whatever you want to call it. Business is too grueling to do it without that, to not have faith that there is a bigger purpose. And you're not just building this thing for yourself or for your family or for the generational wealth that you want to create for your kids. It's for everyone but you. So faith definitely has to be, I think, like without faith, a business is it's a slippery slope without faith. You know what I mean? So health and wellness. You're in the health and wellness space. This industry in general is booming. Okay. We're seeing like supplements have a moment. I mean, if you want to get rich, sell a supplement right now. I don't know. But there's also a lot of noise in health and wellness. There's a new trend every other week. So, how do you stay true to the core of what you guys are doing, but also stay relevant?
Great question. So like, I think for us, and I wrestled with this in my business for a long time, because early on in my business, I'll give you an example. So like, when my business first kicked off, I was like catching the CrossFit bug, right? So like in my mind, everybody should be eating paleo, right? This is like an example of how I polarize my opinions about what should. So there's been many evolutions of that. And my belief is that balanced nutrition is going to be what's going to take the biggest group of people the longest way. And everything we do is science backed, right? Like we're heavy into that piece of it. Now we live in a space where there's two things going on. For one, never has it been easier to reach people. So this like social media engine just like puts things in front of people that elicit feelings, right? So if you're a man, if you're a woman and you're seeing things every day that don't make you feel good about your skin, you are susceptible to the power of marketing. So if I say I have a magic pill, that's a really attractive possibility for a lot of people. So I think a lot of people are getting taken advantage of. So that's unfortunate. Then,
Especially with like the rise of GLP-1s and
yeah, that's where I'm going next.
all these supplements that are capsules that are claiming to have the same effects as
Yeah,
GLP-1s that are so
I can
totally BS.
I can share. When it comes to GLP ones, this became like a hot like topic in my business, like internally with my franchise partners. So big like my competition is mostly what we call like direct to consumer competition. Like they put a box of food on your door, and maybe they're good at that, but like our whole thing is we're everything beyond the meal, right? So like support education, all the stuff. So they start advertising that they have these like GLP-1 companion plans, right? So that's like,
Yeah, that's your competitor,
yeah, so
what they're
like
doing.
that's what they're doing. So we're taking that consideration. Then I have some of my a good chunk of my franchise partners might be like old school, like that's cheating, that's not the way, like they could have strong opinions against that type of stuff. So I navigated both sides of it, and I'll share where I landed. So um, I think it's too soon to tell what the long-term effects of these type of substances are going to be. That being said, that I think that there's the right tool for the right season, and the data is like pretty compelling. So if for a season somebody needs to engage in something that gives them the jump start that they need, my hope is that they come back to lifestyle strategies and nutrition and movement to support maybe what they've initiated. I'm not against it at any means. We've already been approached by like 1,000 people to sell it, and that's not our decision today. But I do think that it's. I also had this conversation with someone that said, "Hey, there's going to be any medication. There's fallout, right? So there's going to be a percentage of people that this just doesn't. This could harm, right? And then it's like, the argument is if it helps this many people in the way that they feel and it develops this confidence and this new movement in people, is that worth the cost? So I don't know the answer, but I do know that it's helping a lot of people. It's still too early to tell kind of where that fits into our world. But people come in every day asking what they should eat because they're on GLP-1s, and there is nothing different that you should be eating, right? Because there are some challenges in that, right? Like, so if they're on a GLP-1, one of the challenges is that they're going to need to be eating more protein, right? So that would be like a fundamental of what we do. So it could be a good companion strategy, but we're still learning.
Absolutely. And you guys
How
do.
about you? Tell me your
I
position.
mean, I you know, I'm a very open-minded person just in general. I'm open. I think if it works for people, it works, but I also am one of those people that's doesn't like taking the easy way out of anything. So, if someone's going to take it, abuse it, neglect their health just as they were before they started taking it, I'm gonna give them the side eye.
Hmm.
But it's like
Yeah,
also there's such incredible data coming out,
yeah,
especially around microdosing
yeah.
and taking very small doses of it. We're hearing that it's impacting and improving fertility in women, symptoms of PCOS in women. We're hearing all these other benefits, but I think that regardless, there's always going to be human beings that abuse power. And and that's just what we see a little bit of. But, you know, I am kind of a I'm a nutrition nut now.
Yeah.
I am a client of Project Lean Nation here in Syracuse, and I've been hitting my own fitness goals and nutrition goals just simply through getting on a program, having a plan with the meals. For me, I think the most beneficial thing has been portion control because I love food and I grew up in Syracuse. The only thing to do here is eat and drink. So I love food. I have a big appetite and I still do, but it's just nice to just also, I think, as an entrepreneur, as a leader, or just someone with a busy life, it's just one less decision to make. And I think that's the other thing that has made the biggest difference for me is it's reduced decision fatigue and just
Yeah,
the
it
amount
gets in the
of
way of bad decisions.
yeah, absolutely.
It's
And
too
like
easy.
I mean, I can't tell you. I live in a more rural area about 45 minutes outside of here. The Wegmans, the closest Wegmans is 35 minutes away. So,
You're roughing it.
ugh, I am so oh my gosh, life is so hard for me. But it's like truly going to the grocery store, cooking a meal, cleaning up afterwards takes hours of my day and I can't afford that. So there's many reasons why I love Project Lean Nation and, appreciate it. But in terms of GLP-1s, I'm just like I don't condone abusing it, of course not. But that being said, let's talk a little bit more about Project Lean Nation, what sets you guys apart because I mean truthfully, I should be an ambassador because I like talk to
Clearly.
it's because I've gotten results though.
Yeah.
It's only because I've gotten results and I wouldn't rave about something if I didn't have proof.
Yeah.
And if you saw my InBody, my little
I
history,
can look
you'd
it
be
up.
so proud of me. You would be so proud. But I've also prioritized strength training at the same time, which has given me the results that have has also played a huge role into those results. Um, but I think what sets Project Lean Nation apart is like you can get these meal preps from the direct to consumer brands that we see. We see the ads everywhere, but and not necessarily like I think going in person for people is still hard just because of the world that we live in. But I really like that for the first time in my life, I have been able to see progress. I've never had a fitness goal before or a goal to lose any sort of weight or change my body. So I've never paid attention to the scale in my life. And it's not the number on the scale that matters. Truly, what you really pay attention to is your skeletal muscle mass and your body fat percentage and all that stuff. But I really like that I can go in and quickly just see where I'm at when I pick up my meals. And I also think the people is what sets you guys apart because it's like truly, I mean, at least here in Syracuse, those girls are amazing. And I just love, like, I will literally hang out at Project Lean Nation for a full hour when I really just went in to grab a shake and pick up my meals. But it's because I sit down, I talk to them. We take the InBody, they walk me through it, and they also like hype me up and cheer me on. They're like, Alex, you're doing amazing. Oh my God, I just can't believe the progress you're making. And it's just like, that's what has kept me consistent. It's not because of the portion control or the convenience of the meals. I think it truly has been the ability to have a support system, have that community in this area of my life that is necessary to grow and evolve and reach those goals in. And I mean, that's just like everything we stand for with CNY Women's Network because community is at the heart of what we do. So I already understand the power of having a community, especially when you have goals. But yeah, there's nothing like it. And I'm just also just I've watched the brand grow over the last few years too, without even knowing Raisa
Mm,
until I joined just 8 months ago.
wow.
So I just super respect what you've built, and I think it's awesome. I think you're really onto something, and I really uh, love that you have these brick and mortar retail stores for people to go in and get support in.
I don't know if I could have answered that question as good as you had. Nobody tells it like the user tells it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'll tell you what I think it is. So, like, what at the end of the day, what differentiates us is like And we can talk about our competition. So you have your like Factor and
Mhm.
Trifecta, and like we talked about, like they can put a box of meals on your front door, or even like a Weight Watchers, right? Like they have a pretty good like supportive strategy, but we bring all that together. And like I think the easiest way to say it is that it's really easy to quit a box of food on your doorstep, but it's very difficult to give up on yourself when somebody else is invested in your success.
Yes,
That's the magic of what we do. And like the how of
exactly.
what we do is support, education, one on one coaching, tech enabled member experience,
Mhm.
and delicious meals.
Yeah, really good. Honestly, the chicken and risotto, period. But, like, another thing from a consumer point of view too, just like a marketing point of view, it still feels like a legit brand that is clearly growing, but it still feels grassroots.
Mm,
You know what I mean? And I think just consumer wise, it's just easier to do business with a brand like that rather than like Factor has only ever been D2C.
yeah.
And that's the only, you know, that their only intention is to just make these meals in a warehouse and send it and make money. Whereas you guys are truly invested in every community that you're in, you know, from having these retail stores to popping up at these local events that are
Yeah.
happening and building these relationships with these local gyms and other wellness brands. So
I want to share this. The experience that you're getting, right? So like the benefit of our system being a franchise, right? Like we can grab a highly local, passionate person who can be the representative of that. But what you're experiencing in Syracuse is unique because they're incredible at it. And the truth is, I wish everybody was as good as they were. You know, so it's like the passion behind the leadership, the passion behind the staff, the commitment to the people. Those are the things that are going to make that really stand out. And my hope is as we scale, we can do a good enough job identifying those people. And that's part of it. The second part, the part that rests on me is making sure that when they come into our system, they're educated on how critical that is, right? Because that same experience done poorly could feel very transactional and very not very warm. Like think about people are going into a store and sharing that they're struggling with something that they think nobody else struggles with. Everybody who struggles with food, they think they're like in it alone. We're asking them to step on a scale, which is vulnerable.
take their shoes off and their socks too. That's vulnerable
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, we have to well, like we know it's a hurdle. Like we have to meet people with compassion and empathy for
Absolutely. It
where they
has to be a
are.
warm,
Yeah, like it's
the people have to
important.
be warm.
Yeah, so it's like even in the way that we have redeveloped our training, it's really important that we're like know how to connect with. We have different personas, you know, like we have to know how to connect with people because if done right, it like really sets people up to win.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine it's easy to find many people like Raisa because
Oh, she's a rare breed.
she's just one of a kind, you know. There's
What do you
just
like most about
in
her?
the world, there's just not many. She has the biggest heart, and I'm so attracted to people that just have a big heart. And she loves unabashedly. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, and she shares her love and gives her love generously. And I just firmly believe that people, that's all it takes is a heart like that. I think if you have a heart like that, you will be successful no matter where you go. Because people like that are magnetic, you know, and you feel truly taken care of. But also, me and Raisa just like could talk for hours, and actually become friends. So
Do you want me to tell you my story of Raisa?
yeah, I'd love to. Let's Raisa fan club. Let's
Let's
go.
go. All right. So she came to me through a mutual friend. Somehow, some way, she came across this packet that we have at this like presentation day. So she thumbed through it. Something about it was compelling to her. So she came to one of these presentations and she's like a ball of energy, right? Like you've experienced it.
Yes, yes.
And we were kind of taken back by it. I know I was, right? And I was just thinking, like, this girl's so passionate. And then it was like, then we start asking the rest of the questions. Like, tell us about your business experience. Oh, I'm a nurse. I'm like, she's got so much passion. It's going to be okay. All right. Tell me about the resources. Well, I don't have them. So we're like, okay. So at the time, you're familiar with First Form.
Yes.
So like First Form's like we're into them. So they had like a fitness contest. She called me and told me she's going to win the fitness contest, and then she was going to pay the franchise fee, and then she was going to build the store. And like, I loved everything about that proclamation,
I
right?
love
Like,
it.
she had complete faith and belief. She was putting in all the effort. She had this amazing journey in her own personal health, and she was getting after it. And unfortunately, it didn't pan out the way she wanted it to. But she had already made this decision, so she was like going to figure it out, and she did figure it out. And then we start getting into the like next stages of it. So we usually like find these like construction teams and all this. She's like, "No, me and my family are building this store." I don't know if you've met her family,
Oh,
but
yeah.
they're
They're
an amazing, colorful bunch, right?
Oh,
So I show
yeah,
up
they're
there,
great.
like, and I had this feeling like I
If
haven't
you're
had a
lucky
lot.
enough, you'll her mom might make your smoothie, or her dad might just
Yeah.
be there looking at your in-body
Yeah.
scan.
Yeah, they're amazing. And like to date, I haven't had a lot of experience with that culture. So it was like I was just learning. And what I learned about her is that like she won't lose. She's got a little chip on her shoulder, and she's gonna get it done. And
She's
I'm gonna
determined.
share another story.
I heard she had like a record-breaking opening.
Yeah, she crushed the
Yeah, she
opening.
had
I
people
mean,
lined around the building.
yeah. She
Yeah.
had she killed it. I actually I went to the opening. There was standing room only. The clients, it like elevates a lot of belief, like what is going on here, but like between us, I was looking around and there's like 30 family members in here. I'm like, they gotta go. But they was like so excited and happy, and I think that she would tell you that her family thought she was crazy for doing that. And today she's one of the top producing franchises in the entire system. She's a leader. I have had all kinds of unique conversations with her and learning moments as a leader myself. She's helped me learn more about myself, and I've had lots of colorful experiences with her as well. And at the end of the day, she crushes it. You go into that store, it's like it's running exactly how it's intended to be.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I actually met her on an event that we invited her to collaborate on, and then right after that event, I was like, you know what? I think I need this. I think I'm going to sign up for it. And then I signed up, and I don't think I was ready to commit yet. So like the first 2 months I was signed up, I was eating what I wanted. I was living my life how I was before I became a freaking PLN junkie. And then in November of this past November, I put on my jeans, and I've never had a moment like this in my life. But I put on my jeans and I was so uncomfortable. I felt like a stuffed sausage. And I looked at my fiance and I was like, this isn't happening. This is not going to happen to me. I'm going to put a stop to this before it gets out of hand. And he didn't have anything to say. He never mentioned it. He's like, okay. But he has told me, he's like, Alex, from that day on, you locked in. And
On a mission.
I went right back to Project Lean Nation, stepped on that InBody, saw the biggest number I've ever seen on a scale for
Yeah.
myself. And I was like, nope. And from that point on, I've gone every 2 weeks and have gotten a scan. And I think that one of the things that's kept me incentivized has actually been these scans, because it's like a report card. And I was a freaking teacher's pet, man.
Yeah.
I just loved the reward,
Yeah.
right? So Raisa was supportive from the start, and the thing is about her is she's sweet and kind, but she's also very honest.
Yeah. And
The honesty
yeah,
is
that's good.
very important, and it's what you've built this brand off of. And I can imagine that sourcing the talent and the right franchisees is probably the hardest part. It's the most crucial part too of the business. Besides that end of things, let's talk a little bit about supply chain manufacturing, because this like just intrigues me.
Yeah.
You had no background in supply chain or
Yeah. I
manufacturing.
had zero background. And
What are some of the hurdles you've had
oh
to
my God.
overcome,
Well, early on,
especially with COVID?
yeah. So right off the gates, I was like renting restaurants that had closed down.
Okay.
And then like I would just go find staff, and like it was very simple. It was like beef and broccoli, chicken and
Yeah.
yams. And because like at the time, I'm like, if you didn't eat that, then you weren't serious about getting healthy. So in time, we had to meet the market where it was. So we had to level up. Ultimately, what happened is I found myself in a really, really bad spot. And there was an organization in New York called Food Link. They have it here. And they had Wegmans gave them like $6 million to build this amazing kitchen. And I got myself like a little bit over my head in negotiating a manufacturing contract. So I went to this family that is like family friends, and they're in the food business. They had like they owned something called Nathan's Soups. They had all these stores, and I went and sat with them, and I said, "Hey, I need your help to negotiate this manufacturing agreement. It's like complex, a lot of moving parts." So Jake, who is 10 years younger than me, so we like kind of grew up on the same plane, but we weren't connecting much because he was younger than I am. He came to my house the next day and made a presentation. And he said, "Hey, why don't we build this massive facility? So you work on some funding, we just build it and we'll run it." And I was like, "That's crazy." You know, like I'm like, we're making 10,000 meals a week at this time. This is like 8 years ago. And like figuring out how to build this thing and get it going and all the people that would be needed. And um, it felt overwhelming to me. But that family, they went in there and completely took the thing over. And over the course of the last 7 years, they've expanded it like from a 10,000 square foot space to a 30,000 square foot manufacturing facility with there's over 50 employees there, leadership teams, all the people. And they're shipping like 50,000 meals a week all over the country right now. But I want to share some other things. So there's a woman there, and her name is Victoria, and she's like, she runs ops. She's very forward facing to the franchise partners, and she made a decision to set up some programs within the facility. So the first program she set up was through a couple organizations that work with developmentally disabled young adults. So they bring these kids in with their, attendants, and they bring them in every day. And they like make protein balls and pack the boxes and all this stuff. And they became like the culture of the space, right? So everybody like worked with these kids. The second thing she did is she connected with an organization called CEO, Center for Employment Opportunities, which are all people coming home from incarceration. So the biggest hurdle when you come home from incarceration is that you're unemployable. And nobody wants anything to do with you. So we set up this program where it's not walk on, but they get an opportunity to get an interview. And this program, and if she was here, she'd share the story with you. Like she was like nervous because all these guys are like coming home 10 years, state prison. And to date, they are the hardest working, most committed labor pool that we have. These guys have elevated from dishwasher to portioner to cook to supervisor. There's guys that come from that program that are key holders in the facility. So we don't perpetuate that out to the world much, but we help so many people in the world when it comes to their health, and we feel incredibly enriched by the things that happen within the facility.
That's very impressive. And I'm sure it probably hits home because you want to create more opportunities for people, that it's also like I'm not surprised that they're the hardest working because it's like they're not taking this opportunity for granted.
Yeah.
And I find that everyone wants to say nobody wants to work anymore, but
No, there's plenty of people that want to work.
yeah, how do you overcome that? You don't really have to deal with too many people like that, right?
No, I think that
Your type of business really probably attracts more of the self-starting,
well, there's
passionate
like
kind.
there's in some ways it's like if I had the labor pool is slightly different like on a store level, right? Because like if I have a cell phone store, like what they do outside of work doesn't really impact what it is. But like in our world, like the people who are pursuing health, it doesn't matter what they look like, what their thing is, but if they're authentically pursuing health, they tend to be interested in what I do, right? And if I can share this too. The people, the staff members, the franchise partners, the managers who have had the most success connecting with people, they like all have overcome something. They all have like a little scar, a little chip on their shoulder, and they like to help people. Like that lives in people. So our business, I believe, does a good job of attracting that type of person.
Yeah. That's the common denominator, really. So at the beginning of starting Project Lean Nation, you probably looked at this company like it would be successful if it made a profit. That's the point of business. Do you have a different definition of success today? And how do you know if you're successful?
Well, that's a big question.
Like, what does
Um,
success mean to you
well,
today?
I can take a step back. When I started this business, and I built a gym, this is all I was going to do until 3 years after I was home when I could go back to finance, right? Because it
Mm,
was the path to,
that was what you knew.
that's what I knew. And I knew I could I knew I could feed my kids, and I knew I could have a nice life. And um, I remember the day that I used to have this FBI agent, but they're like parole officers in the federal system. Uh, she came to my house, and she gave me a hug, and she was always like proud of every little achievement of the business. She'd like bring the little article to her guy and say, "Hey, my parolee is like, he's doing all right." So I knew she took a lot of um, pride in that. So she called me to my house. I met her in the driveway. She said, "You're done." She gave me a hug. She had a tear in her eye. And then she says, "Well, what are you going to do next?" And I was like, it was just so obvious to me to just keep working on this. And then some of the other things that I'm most proud of is I have a daughter who's 17 and a son who's 20. And they've watched me manage every chapter of this. And I don't think I could feel more successful than I feel today as a result of them experiencing and watching every season of this and having a front row success for or front row access to my kind of the things that my failures in life and building something that is truly unique. Like they think anything is possible. So I think um, I don't know what success looks like beyond today, but I feel incredibly blessed and happy to be where I am today.
Oh my gosh, I almost started crying. Well, what a, I'm sure there's a part of you that feels devastated for what your children had to endure during that time. But also, how many children get to watch their parents rebuild from the ground up? Not many of us do, especially nowadays. People are having kids waiting until the perfect time, until they're perfectly set and life is cushy and great. So I have no doubt that your children are going to be fighters. They're going to be resourceful.
Oh, they're killers right now.
What are they up to right now?
My son is wrapping up business school at Niagara. Right now, in this moment, he's has a summer job knocking doors, selling roofing. So, like he's into hard things. Um, Noon on a Friday, my daughter is, it's her first week out of school. She's 17. She's going to be a senior this year. Um, Her big pursuit right now is where she's going to go to college. And the address of where she wants to go to college is more important than the school she wants. She like really has her heart set on going to school in New York City. So I'm navigating that. We're navigating it together. But if if I was to take a guess, she will probably get her way.
I have no doubt. She's she's willful. I have a feeling. Well, Tim, this was an absolute pleasure. I feel like we have to have you on for part two because you're full of wisdom and so many stories. You had a story for every single question I asked. I love that. Thank you so much for joining me for Cultivate CNY.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed my time here, and it's my belief that you have a bright future ahead of you, and you really know how to like authentically connect with people. You did a great job of like caring for me through that.
Oh, I mean, I had a great time. This was a great conversation, and there were some responses where I was like, "Oh, I wish I had a better response for that." But it's really just been a pleasure listening to you. You have a really incredible story, and like I said, I super respect and admire everything that you've done and built. So hopefully, we can definitely sit down again for a part two. I'm sure everybody else would love to hear that.
Thank you so much.
Whether this is your first time tuning in or you've been listening since the beginning, I do not take it for granted. When I started this podcast, I honestly didn't know where it would go. I just knew that I wanted to have real conversations with people doing meaningful work right here in Central New York. 2 years in, this still feels like a dream, but I also know that we are just getting started. If you enjoy what we do here, please join the 32% of people who tune into the show regularly and follow us on this app. And here's my promise to you: I'll keep showing up with my whole heart. I'll keep inviting guests who inspire me and asking the questions that I know matter most to people like us, people building something right here in CNY. So thank you for being a part of this.